Jim J. and Charles M. have gotten back to their gray car, their LDS, Latter-day Center, Mormon missionaries. And Jim J. says, I can't believe we knocked on all those doors at dinner time and not one of them offered us a meal. I'm hungry. And yeah, guys, don't do it. It's not about getting a meal. It's about you feeling some kind of connection to it. Tell them this, because Charlie M. says, look, maybe that's a pizza coupon someone put under our windshield wiper. And he goes to pick it up and no, it's a Mormons beware. We don't like your case in our neighborhoods while we're all hard at work or preying on our elderly. We don't like you with your Muslim brothers. So Adam and his wife Sophia are at a party. And someone tells a Mormon a joke. Oh, it's no joke when they interrupt your dinner, is it? And Sophia doesn't know about that. So Adam says, does somebody have a Mormons Beware card for my wife? She's new to America. She's from Italy. And she needs to know what to say when the Mormons case our neighborhoods and prey on our elderly. And oh, those right there will fit in your wallet. And yeah, 20 folks take that wallet out and hand her a card. A cop is up on the top of a skyscraper trying to talk down a jumper. And the jumper just keeps going on and on. They lied. They lied. Everywhere I go, it's the same. And the cop says, calm down, son. What's the same? And the jumper says, they promised me that the Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Center, missionaries don't do missionary work in Los Angeles. They lied! They lied! And then he jumps. Don't let it get to that point, guys. Put Mormons Beware in your neighborhood. This 4x6 photo. Couple of cops in Anytown, USA have been checking out a suspicious vehicle, gray car parked in one of the neighborhoods. And yeah, Jim J. and Charlie M. returned to their vehicle. They're Mormon missionaries, LDS, Latter-day Saints, proud of that title. I'll print this out from a lot of those sites, vote-truth.blogspot.com for one. And they say, I don't believe you're checking on us, casing neighborhoods. We're doing missionary work for our church. And one of the cops says, oh yeah, so was Charlie Manson and Jim Jones. Well, Monson, is it? Walter is an investigative news reporter and in person and via seance for some. He has talked to Jim Jones, Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, or 20 more of the worst criminals around. And he says, Walter says, I've done some investigating. I've noticed that you had the Latter-day Saints, LDS, proud of that title, the Mormons, knocking on your door a lot. Is there any connection between you and your life of crime? And they all unanimously say, yeah, what do you think drove us to that? 424-229-4140. Make a video of your hijack call to me and spread this around. I am Milton, the son of a carpenter, and married. Dad a carpenter, worked on skyscrapers, Mom Mary Ann. I am the son of a carpenter, I get to tell parables. I also get to answer prayers. Who's up first tonight? Well, hello, but Barbara, what's on your mind tonight? There's a wolf in your midst, and you're worried he's up to no good. There's a shepherd sleeping underneath that tree. Go wake him up, nudge him, wake him up. He'll solve the wolf problem. All right, who's the next prayer? Hello, Abigail. What's on your mind today? The Mormons are on the next street. Latter-day Sinners are casing your neighborhood. You know your street's next. Well, print out Mormons. Beware and wallpaper your neighborhood. They will write you off their sales room. We are at a college party, and Harry holds up an 8x10. This is a 4x6. Print them out through the some of these sites. Download, print them out. Warn your neighbors and such about the Mormons. Give them something to say when they knock on the door. Anyway, Adam holds up that 8x10 Mormons Beware image, and he says, "Look what I got." And all of a sudden, this little Chinese fellow comes running out of nowhere, jumps up, grabs the 8x10, tears it up, cusses in Chinese, who knows what the hell he's saying, runs out of there, and yeah, Harry says, "Well, that's why I brought a whole box of them." This is how you know the Chinese wall is crumbling worldwide, not just around John Milton Brady. Hand these out to your friends. A reporter is talking to Anita, and he asks her, "Why didn't you go?" And she said, "A friend talked me out of it." Yes, he almost went to a Jonestown. And she goes on and on. The reporter asks the questions. Anita answers about the Jim Jones's cult, and about other cults around that resemble Jim Jones's cult. And then he asks her about the Mormons, and she says, "Oh, they knocked on the door one time." Now those folks are really crazy. Get the word out so we prevent another Jim Jones much bigger. Toby is a surfer. He's also a college student out here in California, and he is talking to some LDS Mormons, Latter-day Saint missionaries, yes, the ones casing America's neighborhoods while they are off working, and preying upon the elderly. And he says that's bogus what you're doing. We're having a kegger here, and you're interrupting. That's not right. And you know, a girl from back behind him walks up and hands him a card. You can hand him a big 4x6 one, or the 2 to a 4x6 ones, or the 4 to a 4x6 ones that fit in your wallet. And yes, Toby finds the words to say, "We don't like you. Never mind the dogs, beware the owners." Rachel has been checking up on her mom, Rebecca, and she finds a little notebook kind of thing, and in it is a whole bunch of notes on the neighborhood. Yeah, Rebecca is listed there with a touch of Alzheimer's, very suggestible. Notes on the neighborhood. Most work, these houses here, you gotta watch out for. Yes, it's church princesses preying on the elderly and others, casing neighborhoods while hard-working folks are off at work. And yeah, make a video of that. Post it. We are at a college party, and Tony hears a lot of girls laughing in the next room, and he calls out, "What's so funny?" And he starts to go into the next room, and Jennifer is in the room full of girls watching Stone Cold Melton. Son of a carpenter married me. Daddy carpenter worked on skyscrapers. Mom Marianne. Watching my parable videos, and they quickly turn it off, turn on a Save the Whales documentary. And Jennifer says, "What do you mean? What's so funny? This is a very serious subject. These whales are endangered, and these greedy Mormons are going after them with dollar signs in their eyes." Yeah, guys, if you know some who are at risk, elderly or naive, print this out and hand it to them. No, this isn't a 4x6 photo. There are some who can do this for you right now. I'll get it up there as soon as I can on some of my sites, and I'll make sure to label it as 8x10. Meaning it's, yeah, the 8x10 size photo. I'm suffering from insulin poisoning, and I'm one man working alone. But yeah, not only can you have the 4x6, but you know, that's the size. And some folks, it's not as good quality. I've worked with full-page Word docs, but that would do as well. It's not too late for your Halloween party tonight. Get a whole bunch of something to hand out for your guests like this. A bishop of a fraud of a faith, a Muslim, church or temple somewhere other than Utah, or who knows, maybe in Utah, has called as someone he knows from the police department over, and he says, "Look at this, they got this billboard across from our church, our temple. They're handing this out." Also handing out some big fives with that, telling everyone how to check and post a 5. That's my contact in there somewhere. Try to call me, make a video if you had to call to me. And yeah, the cop does that. He takes out his phone and says, "Well, I can't reach him by phone." What is your part in that? Over 10 years he's been asking for a 911 Flight 93 check. For that he's gotten insulin poisoning and yeah, attacks on his wheelchair. Ralph is one of those cops that is involved with the Mormons, Latter-day Saints, LDS. If you wonder how they can case neighborhoods all across America, they've got from federal to city to county to state officials to solve any problem that comes up. And Ralph is one of those cops who does that, and he's talking to Red and Vince, and he says, "You won't believe the trouble they give those poor guys. They're just knocking on doors trying to promote their church." And Red says, "Well, you know, Ralph, so were Jim Jones and Charlie Manson, or is it Monson? Make that video of you had that call to me and spread these around where you know they're needed." Yes, he does have both. Mormons beware. And Jesus' question, is Barack Hussein Obama a terrorist? Oh, I've been asking you to check your family's lifelines, check America's lifelines for over a decade now, and I've yet to get one. 93 check. That you pick up your phone right now and call me. Reaching me, and no one, I'm Melton, John Melton Brady, knowing that your phone works all the time. Not one in over a decade. Certify your mail as well. Not one bit of 93 check mail in that decade either. And yes, the helicopters come up here to check on stuff, and yeah, get in a nice 93 check video up here in Eagle Rock, a neighborhood in northern Los Angeles. All factory is talking to a parishioner after church, and she has one of these in her hands, a 4x6 photo, and she has some documentaries, yes, from the Military Pitbull Project of those fraud of a faith. LDS, Latter-day Sinners, knocking on doors, and folks tell them just that, and she feels sorry, the parishioner, the nice lady, feels sorry for the Mormons. And she says to Father Olfactory, they're just, trying to promote their church. And Father Olfactory calmly tells her, yes, but you have to realize Jim Jones and Charles Manson were also doing missionary work. Lots of folks work nowadays, they don't like it when they case their neighborhoods, when they prey on their elderly, and they shouldn't. A couple of cops in any town, USA, have responded to a suspicious car and persons in a neighborhood. And it turns out it's Jim J. and Charlie M., Mormon missionaries, LDS, Latter-day Sinners, proud of that title. And they're a little different than when they knock on your door. They're giving them a little lip. And they tell the cops, well, all we're doing is promoting our religion. Why do you have a problem with that? And one of the cops says, well, you have to remember, Jim Jones and Charles Manson were also promoting their religion as well, and that did not end well. We find the Fives and the others here. Jim and Charlie, two Mormon missionaries, are casing the neighborhood in their gray car, and when they get back they find someone's parked in front of them. That's Jake. And Jake says, after they notice his bumper sticker, make sure a nice bumper sticker. I don't know how to do that, but you can. The Mormons beware imagery. He asked him, what are you doing in this neighborhood? We look out for each other. All of our families here are hardworking. They're off working. What are you doing casing our neighborhood? And they say, preying on our elderly. And they say, Jim says, well, we're just doing God's work. And he says, so was Jim Jones and Charlie Manson. Now, who runs this little fraud of a faith of yours? Tommy, on Halloween, your Halloween party or any other party isn't a party unless you've got the Mormons beware and the Tommy imagery printed as 4x6 photos. Daffodilia.blogspot.com, ChristComplex2.wixsite.com/Daffodilia. And yes, you got to tell your tummies yourself, I'm suffering from insulin poisoning past month and a half. So tell those tummies only you can tell. Your phone makes a video nowadays. Put it to good use. And remember to check and post in 542-429-4140. You trying to call me? Jessica has gone to check on her elderly mother, Jasmine. And she noticed in the window there's a big circle cut out there, and she asked her about what happened there. And she says, oh, those nice Mormon missionaries, the church princesses. They were checking to see if my diamond was real, and they cut the hole in it. Oh, they're so nice, Jessica. And then Jessica looks over and she says, where is that antique clock your grandma gave you? And she says, oh, those nice Mormons, they're going to replace it with a new one. 182, my sugar check for the morning. Remember, check and post at 5 and print these out for your neighbors. Rebecca Sarah and Susan are very special Utahnians, LDS, Latter-day Saints. And Rebecca just got a call. She goes to Sarah and Susan. She says, we got a whale in Colorado. Let's go. And yeah, they have the regular folks. My slideshow doesn't move anymore. The regular folks, the regular Latter-day Saints, Mormon, case in your neighborhoods, coast to coast, and then when they find the bank account that's a little larger, or the lots of property or something, they call Utah, and they send, yes, those three to deal with that whale. Sarah, Rebecca, and Ruth are three Mormon LDS Latter-day Saint church princesses, and they're doing a little research. They're going through the obituaries. Yeah, when little old ladies just lose their husband, they're nice and vulnerable for those preying on the elderly, like the Mormons. Yes, the Utahnian fraud of a faith. So they'll be knocking on a few doors of some widows. Yeah, remember, print out that Mormons Beware. They weren't making noise down below the Muslim Mormon African American apartment until I turned off the... I'm waiting on the photo to come. Mormons Beware. Print it out yourself. Rebecca, Sarah, and Ruth are at a cemetery. They're Mormon LDS Latter-day Saint church princesses. And Ruth says, why are we here? And Sarah says, look, a whole lot of fresh burials. And yes, the Mormons, Latter-day Saint missionaries, LDS, proud of that title, they prey upon the elderly. So they look for a nice widower or widow showing up, and they go over the comfort and tell them, yes, in times of need, it's good to have a nice, fraudulent faith church to fall upon. And yeah, they'll be working on getting all their life savings in their name. The false Mormon prophet Nelson is well up into his 90s, and it's well known that back when he was just in his 50s, he experimented with different cults besides the Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Saints. And Jim J., LDS Mormon missionary, is in charge of keeping the old guy out of trouble, and they're in a public place meeting a whole lot of folks, and he says to Nelson, whatever you do, don't talk to that guy up on the right. And he asked him why. He said he looks just like Jim Jones looked back in the 70s. And also the guy on the left. And the prophet says the guy with the funny thing above his nose. Frank is making a cross-country trip, and he stops in at a convenience store just the other side of the Utah border, and he looks up and there's this sign that says those who can't remember the past are doomed to repeat it. And he asks the store manager there, what's that all about? And he says, oh, we're trying to head off something, like Jim Jones, except much worse. That's what they had up at the Jonestown thing. Yeah, from what I hear, they're a senile false prophet. Russell was his name. He was in on that back in the day. In his younger days, he was trying out other cults. Remember, checking post and 5 424-229-4140. So the false Mormon prophet, Nelson, is well up into his 90s, and he has Jim J. and Charlie M., Mormon LDS missionaries, giving them a sponge bath. And he's talking about the old times. He says, I was a missionary during, World War II, and it was great because, all the men folk were overseas a fighting, and, a lot of the women folk had to go to work in factories, so it was really good to be able to case neighborhoods because of that and prey upon the elderly. And Jim J says, what's this feather in the back? He says, oh, it won't come off. Yeah, I met a really mean granny who tarred and feathered me. Angie is a college student, and she has just called up her friend Kayla. I need a Mormons beware, quick. They're coming down the street. And her friend Kayla texts her over, sends her over a Word doc. These are 4x6 photos right here. The big 5s, and I've got those on the way for me to make videos of. You can find through those websites like vote-truth.blogspot.com. And she prints it out real quick. Oh, Jennifer has it prepared. I'm one man working alone. I don't have the Word docs. But Jennifer sends it over. Kayla, Angie prints it out, and she either puts it on the door there for them to see, or hands it to them, or just says the text. Get them to write you off their sales route with truth about them. So Mormon LDS Latter-day Saint missionaries Jim J. and Charlie M. have been knocking on some doors, and a lot of folks have been handing them nice 4x6 photo. Some folks have just been telling them, never mind the dogs. The owners are armed with phones, making videos of your crimes across America. We don't like you casing our homes while we're working, and we don't like you preying on our elderly neighbors. And at the last house of the day, Jim J says, well, we're just trying to get members in our church doing a little missionary work. And Al, he says, well, so were Jim Jones and Charlie Manson, and neither of those missionary efforts ended well either. So Chad works in an affiliate, is that what they call them? TV studio in Los Angeles, and he's running in his dress shoes, and he screams at him, don't put on the Romney story. And of course stop what they're doing and say, why? And it says, because Stone Cold Milton, John Milton Bragg, one and only one who designed this image, will recognize in the impersonator industries around him of himself, Stone Cold Milton, John Milton Bragg, the son of Carpenter, Mary Dad Carpenter, worked on skyscrapers, Mom Mary Ann. He will recognize some faces. So you make sure you don't. I heard yesterday during the news coverage, the election coverage, Jim J. and Charlie M. are knocking on a few doors. No, this isn't in America. Latter-day Saints are conducting religious censorship worldwide. And this is a few years ago. And a bearded guy opens the door and he says, no, I'm not interested. And Jim J. says, was that your son that just left? And it gets a leg in the door talking about his son. He says, oh yeah, he's going to be president someday. And Charlie says, of Kenya here? And Osama says, no, of America. And I gotta run. I gotta do some yoga today, do some rifle practice tomorrow, and talk to the devil. You know the devil too? The checkout librarian is talking to the genealogy librarian, and the genealogy one is complaining, oh, our missionaries, they get so much woe, they get so much aggravation, the cops hassle them, they're angry when they knock on the door. They're just missionaries. They're promoting their church. And the checkout librarian says, well, you have to realize so was Charles Manson and Jim Jones, and neither one of those promoting their church ended well. So the cops do have to watch out for you guys casing their neighborhoods and preying on their elderly. Jim J. and Charlie M., two Mormon LDS, Latter-day Saint missionaries, are running as fast as they can as a car is pulling away from its parking space on the street. Jim J. jumps up on the hood, and the car stops, and a reporter and a senator get out, and Charlie says, guys, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. He's not one of the elderly we've been preying on coast to coast as the fraud of faith. Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Saints, proud of that title. And they convince him that he is, and he takes a Russell out of the back seat, the false prophet, up into his 90s, and he asks, what was that? And they said, they thought you were someone we had kidnapped. And he goes, am I? You kind of see now. Leo's retired, and he looks out for his neighborhood. He knows his neighbors work hard, unlike the Mormon missionaries, casing their neighborhood every once in a while. So when he sees that fraud of a faith LDS Latter-day Saints doing just that, casing the neighborhood, preying on the elderly. That's the text of the Mormons Beware. America documenting. Never mind the dog, beware the owners documenting Mormon character and crimes. He goes out, he prints out the photos. I don't have it yet. Check it out on vote-truth.blogspot.com and print some out for your neighbors like he does. Charlie M. has just run into where Jim J. is. They're both Mormons. LDS, Latter-day Saint missionaries, both proud of that title. And he tells him, hey, the false prophet Nelson, he's a little bit senile, and he's having a whole lot of folks line up for Kool-Aid. And Jim J. says he was with Jim Jones. And Charlie says, yeah, it was during his younger years he experimented with other cults. Yeah, his younger years, back when he was just in his 50s. And so they got to go run and make sure he's not, handing out the Kool-Aid. Remember, check and post in 5. Print out these Mormons Beware. Jim J. and Charlie M., two Mormon LDS Latter-day Saint missionaries, are on their way up to knock on the door, and the door opens and a little old lady comes out and she says, oh, I know who you are. You'd better not be going anywhere near my big picture window there. And they stop in their tracks. They turn around. They're walking back, and Jim says to Charlie, "Yeah, she must have heard those Stone Cold Mountain Rock Chuck or Parable videos." And just then the little old lady calls out to him. They've reached the streets. She says, "You better not be performing any of those homosexual acts in this town either." Talking to the false prophet himself. of the Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Saints, is quite an opportunity. What happened? Angela? And Angela, church princess, Mormon, yes, missionary, on her way out, says to Rebecca, another one, he seemed kind of bored. And then he kind of perked up when the receptionist came over the intercom and said, Jim J. and Charlie M. were there to see him. He kind of gave me the bum's rush out and took them in. Yeah, I think we all know if you've ever seen them knock on your door. But why that is, remember to check and post and pop and put those Mormons beware images. Wallpaper your neighborhood with them. Jim J. and Charlie M., two Mormon LDS Latter-day Sinners, proud of that title. Two of them have knocked on the door of some college students in any town, USA, and the college students know what they're all about: fraud of a faith, preying on the elderly, case in neighborhoods, and they also know they're off in their own little world, and they ask them. So as Mormons, as missionaries, you spend a lot of time on your knees, do you? And yes, the rock chucking Jim J. and Charlie M. say, oh yeah, we spent all night the day Monson, the false prophet, and Romney sent us out. Jack of the Military Pitbull Project has just shown another member of the military who has been in bed with the Mormons, excusing their behavior of covering up after them. And for a long time, he has just shown him that this video of Monson, false prophet, Monson, LDS, Latter-day Sinners, in a motel room. And Jack explains, he puts Falwell, Baker, and any other sex scandal to shame with this, and yes, of course, rock chucking, like the rest of his assault on Mother Nature, hateful folks. The Latter-day Sinner, LDS, Mormon, proud of that title, LDS. He's crying like a baby, false prophet, Monson, the leader of the LDS. Tears rolling down his face, and he says, I have sinned against our church. I have sinned against Utah. I have sinned against you. And Romney takes out a handkerchief and hands it to him so he can blow his nose. He says, calm down, calm down. How big is this? How many did they get on video with you disgracing our church? And he said, well, how many missionaries we send out last year? And of course you, Romney. The Mormon, LDS, Latter-day Saints, false prophet, Manson, having a little marital trouble. His wife hit the ceiling, found out about his rock chucking with that Rich Romney one. Was he running for governor of Utah or something? Every time you see that one, say that's a whole lot of little old ladies' life savings in that limo there. Anyway, the wife says, well, for better or for worse, I'll see if I can put up with you. You just got to promise not to see this Romney fella anymore. And he said, well, it may have been more than just the Romney guy I was rock chucking with. And she says, well, who else? And how many? And Monson says, well, how many missionaries did we send out last year? Ralph and Sally have just finished dinner, and Ralph says, honey, why don't we watch that DVD, those videos on that DVD that those nice Mormon LDS Latter-day Saint missionaries left with us, and they put that DVD in, and Ralph says, oh my God, what is that? Yeah, it's one of a false prophet Monson's world famous orgies to send off the missionaries. Yes, the rock chucking Mormons got their videos mixed up. Remember, when they knock on your door, tell them this, or better yet, just send them a photo. It's a Saturday night and we're at a party. And John has just shown a whole bunch of folks Melton's latest videos and imagery designed and made just this week. And he says, I got a military pit bull project documentary video of the Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Saints, right here, and he puts it on, and a few are disgusted, of course. And one says, you know, you think if he's the leader of the cult, the Mormons, he would be on the receiving end of that, wouldn't you? And John says, oh yeah, wait till later in the video when Romney, things are turned around with him. Sarah is a church princess, one of those holier-than-thou Mormons, LDS, Latter-day Saints. Proud of that title. She's talking to Rebecca after church, an older church princess, and Rebecca wants to know, how's the new marriage going? And Sarah says, well, to put things delicately, when we're in the bedroom, he doesn't call out my name during, you know, he calls out Jared. And Rebecca says, oh, well, Jared is, you know, the fellow missionary he went on his mission with. Wonder why that is. Oh, we all know why that is. Shake and post a pipe. Wallpaper your neighborhood with these Mormons. Beware. Tell them exactly what you think of them. They're directly overhead with the taunting of the rock chuckers. That's the Mormons, Utah, LDS, Latter-day Saints. The ones casing your neighborhoods while you're at work. And the ones preying on the elderly. Rock chuckers is the most common overheard phrase because they're around me constantly. And I was just on the phone to management complaining about the noise from down below. That had stopped for a few weeks or 2 weeks after I hadn't got any response, anything to work with, anything to get things done from Enrique Vergara and Solari Enterprises. And now it started back up again with, yes, Rock Chucker High-Tech Toys stopping my helicopter. Yes, he has. Jesus' question. His brackets ain't Obama terrorists. Put Trump in if you want. To hell, Utah and Earth, to be played for some folks of what I call the military streets. You don't even have to be in the military to be in the military streets. Cop streets as well. To be played for them as they and the Chinese assholes with their pod people, the Mormons. Don't worry, it's our fun street fiction, as they are hung in the most painful ways yet. Promise for the one and only, man in the shadows of the light of truth. Play this video, get them swinging, and tell everyone else in the military streets this will wait till you're going to grow tails with pod people, with cartoons, with Chinese cartoons as well. You're going to feel it a whole lot worse than they will. So be your family. And we get to educate with funny replacements in your shoes.